Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to the third live webinar of the MBA webinar series conducted by the Faculty of Postgraduate Studies and Research at Sri Lanka Technology Campus. The topic today is Shaping the Future, Innovation Trends and the MBA Advantage. So, I am Achani Vikramasinghe and I will be your moderator for this evening. So it's no pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest speaker today, Dr. Lakshitha Pahalagedara. He holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry from University of Sri Peradeniya, and also he holds a PhD in material science. He currently is the Dean of the Faculty of Postgraduate Studies and Research and the Head of International Affairs and Grants at Sri Lanka Technological Campus. He is also a member of Board of Study of the Postgraduate Institute of Science at University of Peradeniya. Dr. Lakshitha Pahalagedara has an impressive professional and academic background, which shows he is an ideal speaker or a guest speaker to speak on the theme today. It's an honor to welcome you to the session today, Dr. Lakshitha Pahalagedara. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ajani. Good evening, everyone. Let me share my slides. I hope that I'm audible and you can see my slides as well. Okay. Ajani, can you see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I hope my voice is also clear. So we are going to today, within the next 40 to 45 minutes, we are going to discuss about a very, very interesting topic. And we are going to look at the MBA or a Master of Business Administration in a totally different angle. Because all the time, what we know is MBA is something, a qualification that most of the employees in the corporate sector acquire, which helps them to go in the career ladder. But now I'm going to talk about the MBA in a different angle, and I'm trying to show you how important having an MBA is in order to the future, in order to thrive in the future of the mankind. So our topic today is innovation, trends, and the MBA advantage. So let's see whether we would be able to make any link between all these words, which are really catchy words, innovation and trends. Let's see how by having an MBA would help any person, any employee, any student, or how it would help to uplift the mankind from where we are now. So thank you, Achini, for the introduction, but I will briefly introduce myself to you. So for you to get an understanding what my background is. So as she mentioned, I obtained my bachelor's in chemistry, and then I obtained my PhD in material science from University of Connecticut in the United States. There, I got the opportunity to work with the industry. The companies like ExxonMobil, Corning Incorporated funded my projects, and also the Department of Energy in the United States funded my research. What innovation is, and how, as researchers, how we should focus on research that can be converted into a refined product or a high-tech, high-value product or a process. And then soon after my PhD, I came back to Sri Lanka Institute of Nanotechnology where I joined as they handle the business aspect in the at Sri Lanka Institute of Nanotechnology, which we know as LINTech, one of the premium research institute in the country. So the business model of LINTech is you do research, you come up with innovations, and you create intellectual property, and you transfer that technology to the industry. And by transferring, you generate revenue. So it's not just gathered together and do extensive research. It is a place where where the scientists, engineers, as well as the business people and finance people get together and identify the real areas that we should focus on in doing research, and then pushing research towards innovation aspect, uh, creating intellectual property that can be commercialized, securing intellectual property, and work on and valuing intellectual property and doing technology transfer. So it's a combination of science, business, finance, engineering, all these aspects. And while being a senior scientist, I got the opportunity to handle the business aspect of that part of that institute. And also, I supervised PhD students. So that's what my background of postgraduate studies and research at SLTC Research University, and also as a member of the board of study at PGIS University of Peradeniya. So I want to start this webinar at a different point. So we all expect to discuss about the MBA, but I want to highlight a few facts from the evolution of mankind. So there have been a lot of on the evolution and the origin of the mankind. New findings suggest that so what we previously thought was that we were originated some Ethiopia about 200,000 years ago. Uh, we thought that that was the origin of Homo sapiens. And then the scientists were really interested about more about the origin of sequencing. This happened very recently in the year 2023, and this research was conducted by a team which is composed from scientists from different countries, China, America, and some scientists from Europe as well. And they found, and see my slide now. So this fossil was found in 2017, and then when they did the analysis, they found out the origin of Homo sapiens happened about 315,000 years ago, somewhere in Morocco. So this really shattered our previously believed thoughts, and then it came up with a new thinking. So we have been survived for about 300,000 years. So what's the real cause of that? How did we survive over this period? How our species survived? So that was a real problem. And more than that, another interesting finding took place, which says that our early ancestors came close to extinction about 900,000 years ago. So obviously, these are not Homo sapiens. These are our early ancestors, probably Homo erectus or Homo habilis. So this DNA analysis of modern populations show that our common ancestor, as I mentioned earlier, probably Homo erectus, came close to extinction almost a million years ago, about 900,000 years ago, uh, because due to a sudden climate change is believed to have caused the population to drop by 99%. So at that time, they, according to this new technology, which is called DNA sequencing, through calculations, you can get the exact number of uh, individuals who were there at that time. So before this period, they calculated that about 100,000 individuals were there. But soon, because due to a sudden climate change, that was shrink to just 1%. That means about 1,000 individuals. And the interesting thing is, it was shrink to 1,000 individuals. So you can now imagine how close we came to extinction, because 1,000 individuals that can vanish at any point, right? From 100,000 to it came down to 1,000, and that 1,000 would have died uh, due to any cause that you can think about, right? But the most important thing is, this population, that means about 1,000 people, were there for about 100,000 years. So it did not expand and it did not extinct, but these 1,000 individuals, they have exactly calculated the number as 1,280. They have been survived for 100, this number. So it's not the same individuals. There are generations, there might have been several generations of these individuals, but the number was around 1,000, and they have been survived during all those years, about 100,000 years. Then now the question comes, how did they survive? Just 1,000 people, not Homo sapiens, so their brains might have not developed up to this level, but yet they might have used different tactics, use different techniques to survive, right? Probably they might have worked as a community, as a team, and then they might have looked for innovations, new things, new food, uh, just like that, or new material to survive from the bad weathers and all these things. So they might have used some stuff, some strategies, some techniques to hunt animals, and all these things might have happened during this 100,000 years. And then I go back to my previous slide. Then after 100,000 years, this expanded and expanded. So the number of individuals increased to 30,000, nearly 30,000. So it tells us a story. This is not just a fact that we see, and that is not just a finding of a very interesting research, but we can learn a lot of stuff after looking at this, because it says that they might have not just stayed still uh, by having some food, whatever come to them, but they might have used some strategies, some technologies, some they might have developed the teamwork to survive during this period, right? So that means this is in our DNA. This is in our DNA. So then, and then further, around 300,000 years ago, we expanded. Homo sapiens originated, and parallel to our species, there were some other species such as Neanderthals and Denisovans. But still, all other species got extinct. Only Homo sapiens thrived. So this is due to a reason, right? So let's see how this can be applicable in the modern day. So let's change the gears a bit and see what an MBA is. So this is the typical definition that we see. So this is a postgraduate degree in business and management. But the most important thing is it focuses on leadership, strategy, decision making, entrepreneurship, innovation, and things like that. And the core is finance, marketing, HR, operations, strategy, etc. And also develop the skills of communication, problem solving, critical thinking, strategizing, brainstorming, things like that. So these now in the modern day, we use all the techniques that might have used by our early ancestors who lived about 900,000 years ago, and also the early Homo sapiens who lived about 300,000 years ago. And we are using the same skill set in a methodical way in an MBA. So you can see how much an MBA is related to our day-to-day life and how important that is. But if you look at an MBA in a holistical way, an MBA today is not merely a degree. So if you think that it's about doing some courses and then getting good results and getting a certificate, that's not the case. It's not just merely a degree. It's a dynamic launchpad for future-ready leadership. So we need leaders who have been trained in a methodical way through an MBA. So these programs now weave together cutting-edge innovations, immersive learnings, and also evolving global expectations. This is about trends. So innovations, that's a very important word. So let's think about our first innovation. So probably this should have been the fire. The fire was there. We did not innovate fire, but we came up with methodologies to use fire in methodical ways. So then we were able to survive from extreme cold. So the studies have found that probably these our early ancestors might have used fire about a million years ago in South Africa. They have found some evidence for that in a usable way. So they might have used it to get get protection from the cold, and also later they used it to cook food. So cooking food is another important thing, because I always believe that by cooking food you can improve the digestion, so it's easy to digest, so you get more nutrients. So this might have expanded our lifetime after we started using fire to cook food. Yes, that might be the case, but there's a more important thing that happened. Because we started cooking food, the food got softer, so it was easy to bite food. Because of that, our brain could grow further and push uh, uh, our jaws further, because our jaws became softer, because we don't have to put a large effort to bite food, because food became softer. So this happened to us through the evolution over a large period of time. But this is a major reason for why we got a larger brain than our early ancestors. So because this is a result of an innovation, right? And how to use, and people started using this innovation in a methodical way. So probably someone might have led others to use fire in that way. But these things change the entire mankind and the evolution. And then we found the wheel. The wheel changed the entire thing. We might have started with rocks, and then we can think about vehicles having wheels as in vehicles. But more than that, we used wheels for everything. In 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 uh, in using hydropower, now we are using it, right? In watches, in modern mechanics, we use wheels a lot. And then to pull water from somewhere, we use the wheel. So wheel changed the entire way of our lifestyle. So this is due to the innovation that happened about 3,500 BC ago. So this changed again the lifestyle and the mankind. But then, if you think about more modern days, the recent days, the industrial revolutions happened. Industry 1.0 happened in 1700s. That's where we introduced mechanization, water power, steam power. And then in the industry 2.0, we started doing mass production. We started scaling up things. So this is not just a work of a scientist or an engineer. This is the work of, this is about conversion of the work carried out by scientists and engineers into a different level through people with good business mindset. There might have been good leaders who let everything happen. So this might be due to good strategy development. So in 1960s, Industry 3.0 happened. That's where we got computers, electronics. And then in Industry 4.0, cyber physical system took place and IoT networks. So this is when Steve Jobs emerged. This is when Mark Zuckerberg emerged. This is they were not just researchers or scientists or engineers, but they had an entrepreneurial mindset. They were good leaders. They were good strategic planners. So the entire way of living changed because of the contribution of the scientists, engineers, and the people with a good business mindset. And then now we are talking about Industry 5.0. We know that AI plays a major role in that. And everything is, the AI will be involved in everything that we already do. So there will be a lot of changes in the future as well. But at the same time, we have to make sure all the strategies has to be developed by people, and all the businesses have to be planned by people. So we need to have people with good strategic business mindset. So this is what an MBA would do. So I'll get some very specific examples. Think about the world population now. It's about 8 billion, and very soon it will reach 11 billion. Probably that would be the peak, and then we will go towards a downhill. But in order to reach the peak, it might take another 40 to 50 years. So we have a large number of mouths to be fed. And we know at this moment that at Gaza, people don't have food. Let's think that it's a political event, but think about other places in the world. How many people sleep without food? So this is the process, an innovation called Haber-Bosch process, where we started producing ammonia gas from nitrogen and hydrogen. And this ammonia was used to produce urea, the fertilizer. It was a buzzword a couple of years ago, even in Sri Lanka. But urea, it's only because of urea that we can produce this much of food. So this innovation changed the entire world. If you stop producing urea today, 2/3 of the world population would die very soon. So now you can see how innovations change the entire mankind. And it's not just an innovation. This is because it happened because there was a good business model, and there was a good strategy behind that. And then I will take some very recent examples. Think about COVID-19. And at one point, the death rate went up, and no one was able to control that. But as soon as the vaccines were introduced and then the vaccines were distributed, the death rate went drastically down, right? So we can think about all the pros and cons of it, but at that point, nobody was able to stop people from dying. But vaccines were able to do that. And there was a good business model behind that. If there was no any good business model, if there was no any strategy behind that, do you think that Pfizer would have invested in producing a vaccine? They might have invested a lot because they knew that there is a business model, and they would be able to generate a lot of revenue because of that. So it's not just the work of scientists and engineers. It's mainly the business people with a business mindset, and people who were able to strategize might have come up with a good business model. And that's why it happened. if Pfizer was not able to make any money out of it, they would not have produced it. So now you can see how crucial it is to have people, have leaders with a good strategic mindset. And then we can think about other examples, like now all the cities are growing vertically. Earlier, the cities grew horizontally. Now all the cities, even if you go to Colombo, now you can see how many high-rise buildings are there, which were not there 5 years ago. And that's thanks to the steel industry, the development of steel industry. And then when Andrew Carnegie, who was in the United States, came up with steel industry, he was an entrepreneur. He came up with a good business model for that. And that is why it thrived. The technology was improved because there was a good business model behind it. And you can think about the oil industry, the fuel industry. So petroleum fracking, we get all this petrol from somewhere else. And then because we have improved this technology of getting good quality petrol, and that's why we can fly good airplanes in a faster speed, very high speed. And that's why we can have vehicles with very high speed. And think about the battery technologies. And now think about the number of EVs that we have in Sri Lanka. So all these things are due to good innovations. At the same time, innovation means there was a good business model behind it. And that's why BYD is thriving, because they are coming up with a very high technology, very good technology, which can be offered at a lower price because of their business model, right? It's so now you can understand how people with MBAs can play a major role in the ecosystem. And I would go back to the problems that we have currently while we are talking about all these new trends. Think about the world, the food security. We don't have food security at the moment. A lot of people go hungry. It's about 828 million people still go hungry. That's about 10% of the world population. But you can change that through innovations and good technologies, which can improve the yield, because it has been predicted that by 2030, the maize price would increase by 90%. The rice price would be increased by almost 90%. The wheat price will be increased, and everything will be increased. But thanks to new innovations and thanks to good business models, we have come up with new technologies to improve the yield. By improving the yield, you can produce more. So the price will not go up like that. So farming is becoming increasingly technical. High-tech machines allow farmers to be more accurate, decrease wastage, and boost productivity and the profit margins. So more and more people will get involved in farming, and you get high yields so that you can make sure that nobody would go hungry. One minute, please. I just need to get my presentation open again. So this is where we're talking about. So because of these good business models of new technologies, even for these new technologies, there are good new business models. And that's why people are using these new technologies. So everybody gets the benefit out of it. I'm just trying to move my slide. 1 minute, please. So just like food, we can think about the energy. Energy is another important factor, because we are talking about all these AI technologies and everything. But to power up all the AI technologies and to cool data centers, you need energy, right? So it has been assumed that you might need 16% of energy requirement would go to in the United States would go to run the data centers, and you need water to cool these data centers. So it is very important to come up with new technologies and make it business viable, because so that people will be using renewable energy for their energy requirements. Now, thanks to good business models, now the renewable energy costs declined rapidly over the past 10 years. The solar, for solar energy, it has been reduced by 82%. For concentrating solar power, it has been reduced by 47%. And for wind, it has been reduced by 39%, and offshore wind 29%. So this is not just a result of good science, technology, and research, but this is a result of science, technology, and the business models, good business models. Uh, so uh, uh, and also we use solar as a renewable energy. And look at this, how countries use solar power to power up their manufacturing. Countries like China, United States, Japan, Germany, they use a lot of solar power because now the solar power has become very affordable because of the good business models and good strategic moves. Just like that, we can think about the wind power. From the first ancient Egyptian vessels, which used wind power to use their uh, to pushed by the hot desert breeze through the Nile, right up to the modern day wind turbines. So we use wind turbines to generate energy. So this is a result of using the natural resources in a productive way. So this is the map of winds that we get, and this is how the countries use wind. And we can uh, happily say that Sri Lanka is also on this map. So because we use a lot of wind power for our energy requirements, and this can be improved. The thing is, we have to come up with good business models. So if you think about the trends, the new technology trends for 2025, we undoubtedly artificial intelligence has become one of the major technologies, major trends in the world. And at the same time, there will be other trends such as virtual reality and augmented reality, robotic process automation, blockchain technology, IoT, edge computing, drones, and 5G technologies. You can think about all these technologies, but each and every technology will thrive if there is a good business model, right? You can think about the Apple iPhone. Apple iPhone has a lot of good new technologies, even from the Apple generation 1. Now we know that 17 will be released very soon. So every time they improve the technology, but more than that, they come up with a good business model. And they come up with a good strategy, even to improve their technological side. It comes as a result of their strategy. So the strategies are mainly built by the people who have a business sense, who can understand what what the rest of the world needs. So by doing an MBA, you get all these leadership qualities. So that is why I always say, yes, we need researchers, innovators, engineers to come up with new stuff. But at the same time, more than that, we need good people with a strategic mindset, an innovative mindset, who can drive these scientists and engineers to come up with new technologies that can be harnessed by the industries for the greater good. So you can think about the future of work trends for 2025. And if you go through all these things, it's all everything is about tech disrupts and how employees will embrace artificial intelligence, how loneliness becomes a business risk, not just a well-being challenge, right? So there are a lot of challenges as well together, which comes together with new technologies, which has to be handled by the leaders who have a business mindset. Now, I will give you a very important cycle, which is called the innovation cycle. So the researchers, they do research and they come up with new technologies, new intellectual property, and then they disclose it, they publish it, and then they protect it. And after protection, or they can go for a patent, or they can keep it as a know-how. And then after that point onwards, if they want to take this to the market, then marketing needs to take place. Technology transfer should happen. Commercialization should happen. Raw material sourcing should happen. Revenue generation should happen. So you can now see in the innovation cycle, which we thought that, which was owned by the scientists and engineers, now you can see what kind of major role is played by the people who have a business mindset, by the people who have a strategic mindset, the people who have finance background. So in order the scientists to do more research, you need funds, so that the commercialization needs to happen. And a portion of that commercialization or the revenue generation can be allocated to do further research. So this is again strategy development. So now you can see how, by doing a good MBA, how you can contribute to the entire mankind. And this is another example. We all know that technologies are developed in the universities and in the research institutes, but industries and startups, they do manufacturing. But there's a huge gap between these two. So who can fill this gap? Scientists speak a different language, the industry speak another language. But there have to be people who can understand both the languages. So an MBA, a good MBA, can produce a person who can understand both the languages and who can bridge the gap. And then only you can come up with good innovations, and these good innovations can be applied in the industry for the betterment of the entire mankind. So this is another example. We all know that something called innovation S-curve. So innovation happens at the very beginning as a startup, but then the launch point is there. So by that time, you have to identify your target markets. Who would buy my product? What the other people want? And how can I come up with a good supply chain management? How can I market my product? And then how can I improve my product so that it goes up, and at one point, your product comes to an end of life cycle, just like with what happened to Apple iPhones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because at that point, they reinvented the next generation, and that's a business decision. That's not merely a scientific or technological decision. That was a business decision, and this is the business decision that BlackBerry failed to take, and that's why we don't see any BlackBerry phones right now. They thought that they were good at it, they had a good marketing plan, but they didn't have people, leadership with a strategic thinking who was able to foresee that their product is come to an end of life cycle. So this is very important. And then if you think about innovations, again, this research is happening in the universities, and then the technology or the patents come from the second level. You come up with the institutes which do applied research, and then it becomes a business. You come to component manufacturers who produce components, just like NVIDIA producing chips for high-speed computer applications. So they are component manufacturers, and then after that, finally it goes to the product design engineering, where you come up with the final product. So here you can see, just after the first part, it's everything about how to convert that into a business, and that's how a fundamental research becomes an applied research, and an applied research becomes a refined product or a process. So this is what Sri Lanka can do. I'll just take one example. We all know that we have been producing graphite for a long time, and we have been exporting graphite. So what we do is we harness graphite and then export it. We crush it, change the size, and then export it. But through innovation and good business models, you can change the entire economy if you want. You can convert it into graphene, which is a high value substance, which is worth about $8,000 per kilo, where graphite is about $6, $7 per kilo. And then you can use it in composite, you can come up with good, high, strong composite materials, concrete, so that your 9-inch road can be minimized to 6-inch road. And also that can be used in other applications like oil removal. And also they can be used in high-tech applications such as sensors. So this sensor was developed at Sri Lanka Institute of Nanotechnology using Sri Lankan graphite. We converted that to graphene and then used that in a sensor. So this is a good business model. Then there was a local company who exported these sensors to other countries during the COVID time. And then the major application is using them in lithium ion batteries, or the next generation that would be sodium ion batteries, so that you can improve the performance. So now you can see how a $6 per kilo material can be converted into a very high value product or a high tech product. But it's not just the work of researchers, it's the work of researchers plus people who can strategize things and people who have a business mindset. I keep on telling this because now you can feel the importance of doing an MBA. So I'll end the first part, or I have just a couple of slides more. This is something that Jeff Bezos says. We innovate by starting with the customer and working backwards. That becomes the touchstone for how we invent. So you can now see it's not just the work of researchers or engineers. It's the work of people who can strategize, people who can communicate really well, who can understand what the next trends would be, and then they should be able to transfer that to researchers, so that researchers would come up with new innovations, which you can again market to your target market. So this is what is happening in the world. So now you can see how important doing an MBA is. So with that, I'll stop my talk, but I'll just introduce the SLTC MBA program, which has 2 years. This is a 2-year MBA, and this is conducted in the hybrid format. So you have 3 weeks online lectures, and we are conducting the 4th week physical lectures, so that you can, if you want to get clarified anything, you can go to your lecturers who are very senior people, who have a lot of expertise, and most of these lecturers are senior professors from the state universities. And this is happening during the weekend, and the physical classes are happening not at Paduka, but the physical classes are happening at the heart of Colombo, at Trace Expert City. So in the first 3 semesters, you learn the basic stuff, the foundational management, analytical and people skills, and advanced business integration, things like that. And in the second year, you can choose your path. You have 3 options. You can do either coursework and then graduate with the coursework, or you can do a business project at your workplace. So you can use your real world problem as a business project. But if you really want to go to SLQF level 10, you can always do a research, and we would be able to facilitate with that. So it's very flexible, and it has a lot of options, 3 options. So with that, Achini, I would like to end my presentation. So if anyone has any questions, I think I'm ready to answer them. I hope I just tried to cover the topic, which is a very wide topic. So within 40 to 45 minutes, I hope I was able to transfer some amount of knowledge to you, which is on innovation, trends, and the MBA Advantage. Thank you very much for participating or being here in the audience. And if you have any questions, I think you can ask. Thanks, Achini.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshitha, for the insightful session. So now it's time to open up the floor for the questions. You are feel free to send your questions in the chat, or you may you may use the raise hand option as well if you need to get an or anything clarified from Dr. Lakshitha.
Yes, anyone has a question? I think someone has raised hand.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So may I know a few things about the entry qualification and the fee structure?
Okay, I think Achini, if you can just get information about from him, probably the email address. So entry qualification, I think
Yeah.
there's a list of entry qualifications. So if you have a business degree or management degree, you can directly get entered to the MBA program. But there are a lot of other qualifications that would be used to get qualified into the program with some experience. Achini, if you can get his information, contact information, and then share all this information, that would be
Yes, I will get the details.
yeah. So by tomorrow, we will share all this information. If there's no other questions, Achini,
Yes, so it seems that there are no questions. So it comes to the end of today's session. And once again, I would like to thank Dr. Lakshitha for sharing this insightful knowledge with us. And also, I would like to thank for the audience for joining with us during this 1 hour. And I would like to invite you to join with the upcoming sessions as well. So good night and take care.
there's a message, Achini. I'm not.
Yes, we got.
Yeah. So I think someone has a question, and we need to unmute him.
Can you please raise your
Yeah, that's
ref-
yeah. So can you please
Okay.
unmute?
You can unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, how about the lectures going on? I mean, is this weekends or weekdays? Can we participate from overseas? Can you please give me some details about that?
It happens during the weekends, and also if you are planning to join from overseas, I think we can go for a special arrangement. There has to be some kind of physical presence as well. Probably Achini will be able to understand your exact problem and then what you are planning
Yeah,
to
it's
do.
because excuse me. So yeah, the thing is, the MBA students, the students who are going to do this course, mostly they will be mostly working, right? Isn't it? Working individuals.
Yeah.
It is one is maybe inside the country, outside the country, either of
Yeah.
that, right? So in Sri Lanka, if you're within the country, we can participate, no issue. Also, even we'll be facing some trouble in traveling and those things, right? While from being work, and it's really tough to anyway. But when we are outside the country, it's really tough to give presence, and it's no, it's I mean, you know that it's not practicable at all, right?
I understand.
So that is one and only way for the overseas students is do it online, and also the exam as well. It's because you know that while I was doing my degree in SLTC, also I was a letter entry student, and everything was online. That's really good. I mean, the option was given. Really, that's really appreciable because it's very much useful for the overseas students also. In this case, also we are raising the same issue here. So if you can incorporate that thing and come up with a good solution, it'd be very much helpful to me, not only to me. Yeah, also, I hope that there'll be a big team will be there for you for doing this course. Yeah, right.
Yes. So we can facilitate that. Thank you very
Also,
much.
yeah, it's actually my suggestion. It's because the people who are outside the country, many people want to do MBA because they want to upgrade their qualification and experience at all, right? So they are looking into which university they want to do. So they will first of all look into the universities and come up with the idea. So they will most probably, right? I don't think it should be maybe 99% or almost 100%. They will go for the students who are universities which is providing them online, right? Definitely, because overseas when they cannot come to Sri Lanka, I mean, they will definitely, if there is no option like that, they will never definitely go to another university which is giving online. That's what definitely will come. So what I'm telling you, management people, we have to take this into consideration. And if you give that chance for the students doing online from outside the country, definitely you will have a huge amount of team joining this MBA program, and you can make them into group, or maybe that's you can do that, right? So that option is very much important. Also, not only the lecturing, lecturing is not only lecturing. I'm specifically talking about the written exams. Because
Yes.
degree holders, degree. Why written exam? Because watch card system was there, online Zoom. You were able to monitor through the video. Everything you can monitor, right? Isn't it? You can monitor.
Yeah.
So
Thank you very much. So
that also
even
you have to
now-
give me. So
Even now we have students who are traveling frequently. So sometimes their exams overlap with their travels, with their traveling. So what we do is we facilitate them with online exams. So that's possible. And also, if you are planning to stay for longer period, if you are staying abroad for a longer period, then we can get a special Senate approvals and go with
yes,
that.
it's because
Uh,
definitely,
yes, yeah.
definitely, sir. The students who are working, the people who are working outside, they're definitely, if they are in a company, they're going to work for a long time. They will
Exactly.
be skip change. I mean, working from one to another. That's it. So they don't
Yeah.
have because even many people
Thank you very much for
resigning,
this suggestion.
resigning the job in Sri Lanka and going outside the country, isn't it?
Yeah.
So their
yeah.
main target is to work outside and not to waste time here. That's it.
Yes.
It's different perspective and different individuals, right?
Exactly.
So this option, sir, is very important.
Yeah.
If you want to give chances to the students who are working outside, if you think only people have to come physically, they have to attend physically, they have to do the exam on the university itself, that means it will be limited. Only particular students who are working in Sri Lanka, those students also will be reluctant to come physically because they don't have time because of work schedule. Am I right? I think you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
Thank you very much.
take it into consideration. I can contact the
Thanks.
official people who are here, or even actually from a singer. I can, no problem. I have
That's
coordinated
great.
with doing
That's
my
great.
degree program. So please
Okay. Nice.
take this in consideration and give us a good feedback on that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your suggestion.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you, Ripki. And once again, thank you all for joining the webinar session. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.